Coming to Mercury, Mercury being the Chara Atmakaraka or the highest degree planet, if it is placed well, this can make a person's appearance very youth. Their character can be very youthful in general, like a child, because Mercury is a child planet. These people can have the character or the traits of a child, like a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old. They'll be very cheerful, they'll be very happy, or they'll lead a very happy life in general. They'll have a very good laugh in general, the way they laugh, and they'll be very positive, and especially their appearance can be very youthful. I've seen a few Mercury Charatmakaraka people, and they in general look very young for their age. Even after they grow old, they'll be very youthful in general, especially if the Mercury planet in their birth chart is influencing their lagna in some or the other way. Then they will be youthful in some or they will look youthful for sure. They can be very intelligent. Mercury primarily controls the domain of intelligence and is the Karaka for intelligent or intelligence. So these people can be naturally very intelligent, and they can be very gifted when it comes to communication and many things, and they can use this intelligence to anything they learn. Like, it's not fixed to a particular thing or particular field. They can be intelligent in many things. So it's just like a child won't have mastery in anything, but child has the ability and the required set of skills or mindset to attain anything in general, to attain any skill or to gain any knowledge. That is the type of intelligence they have. Moving to, they can be very curious in general. They can be very creative, just like a child. They can be very curious about things that people don't normally think about. They can spend a lot of time trying to understand many things in general, many things around us. They can generally be seen as very curious people. Like, they could be the people who would question a lot. Yeah, but the questions wouldn't be like a Jupiter person, they wouldn't be very wise. But since they will be very curious, they can ask you questions like, why do we do these things, why do we do that, or what is the reason for studying this particular subject, or simple things like this. They won't go directly into philosophical things like Jupiter influenced person would directly ask questions like, what is the main goal of life or something, or why do we even work so hard when we can do simple work and lead a simple life instead of running behind desires and these things. These are all philosophical and it will come under Jupiter. But when it comes to simple things, simple curious things like just like a child, they would experiment all type of they would like to enjoy spending time with all types of toys. Let's say it's a slide, the slides we see in parks or playgrounds, and they're like a child, so they'd try going down the slide in variety of ways, and try to experiment with it, and maybe get injured many times, and still they'll be the ones who keep trying because they're very determined, just like a child. And one very common thing you can see among children is they'll do the same things over and over and again, trying to make it better, or let's say trying to figure out the right way to do it. So that can show that they can be very curious and very creative at the same time, especially when it comes to performing activities like designing or these things. They can be very creative people because the way they see the world and the others see the world will be very different, and they can be very skilled because it's like they come or enter this world with a blank page or a blank sheet, and they need to draw and paint everything. So they will have this entire empty canvas, and they have the set of skills that are or the set of traits they need to attain new skills. So they can paint the entire canvas throughout their lifetime, and they can learn a lot of skills. They have the ability to learn things just like a child. So they can be seen as very skilled people in general. Or if this person is a child, then trying to introduce this child to multiple skills will be very good for this child. And they can be very good in sales too. Now when it comes to sales, the person might have to be very determined and try to communicate well and try to present a thing very well, and there a lot of intelligence is involved. And Mercury is the direct karaka for sales, so these people will have this set of skills or traits required to make a sale in general. So they can do very well in sales, but it does depend on work or the other planets like the 10th lord and these things. But just being able to sell something, it may be an idea, it can be a product, it can be anything. The ability to sell something will be inherent in this person if it is placed well, if Mercury is placed well and is the Chara Atmakaraka. Now they can do very well in business. It's because generally they are seen as materialistic people, because in a way they are here to experience the materialistic things. Because a person won't simply be born in fifth or under the Mercury influence if they have to excel in let's say spiritual paths or spiritual fields. They won't they very rarely will be born in the fifth, because most of the people, even if you see around you, the people born on 5 or the people who have a lot of influence of Mercury will be interested in materialistic things most of the time. It's very rare that the person with Mercury's influence will be interested in spirituality, and that would require a lot of combinations or a very strong influence of a particular combination of, let's say, sannyasi yoga or these things. So yeah, these people will be very good in business, communication, presenting ideas, and they will have great ideas that would be required from a person in business. They will be great at communicating, trading. So all these things that are required for a businessman will be inherent in these people, and those are the set of skills that are naturally present in these people. Coming to maths or science, these departments or these fields will require a very strong Mercury's influence, and since these people have good Mercury or and they have Chara Atmakaraka Mercury, then that can make this person interested in maths or science. Now, whenever I speak about these points, these are showing the person's interests, the person's way of thinking, and these don't directly link to the occupation they do or the thing they seek in general. Because let's say business, just because they will be good at these things doesn't mean they will be successful in business, because there are plenty of people who are very good businessmen but they suffer because of bad luck and these things. Like generally bad luck in business, bad investments, or their intuition will lead them to bad decisions in general, and these things can happen when certain combinations are present. So whenever it comes to work or the thing we do most of our life, you shouldn't really rely on what Chara Atmakaraka is showing. Chara Atmakaraka is directly showing your character. What I'm trying to explain in these things, in these Chara Atmakaraka videos, is the type of character this planet will give this person. Try not to rely on this for occupation. Try to just understand the type of influences this planet will have on the person. So they will be interested naturally in maths, science, accounts, they can be good at accounting because Mercury directly controls maths, science, or accounts. The type of mind you need to attain these, no, to be good at these fields, yeah, that will be provided by Mercury. You need a level of curiosity and a very calculative brain, and that is given by Mercury. So they can do very well in CA or any of these accounts fields. They can be very good in taxation. Wherever memory is involved, for maths, you just need to remember the formulas at the end of the day. However superficial or however deep you go into maths, you need to understand the formulas, and for that you're relying a lot on your memory, and Mercury is the primary karaka for it. Maths, science, even accounting, you have to remember all the tables or all the formats of the tables. So yeah, all the books, journal, ledger, yeah, you need to remember all these things. So you would need a lot of influence of Mercury. And Mercury in general, if it's placed well and has a lot of influence like this, like being the Chara Atmakaraka, will make a person generally good in education, because the type of influence Mercury is giving is very important for education. Like the person will be curious, at the same time intelligent, has the ability to attain skills, and it can be knowledge too, like being a knowledgeable person too. Yeah. So they can be generally good in education. Mercury is a planet that always wanted to shine, just like Mercury's father, that is Moon. So they can do well in media, or at least they will have the deep interest in media. I've seen this that these people will have the interest, or they seek to be seen, or to be shining. They just want to shine and glow in general. So they would do very well, or they would be very interested in media. As far as I've seen, yes, the people especially born in fifth. Now I don't rely on numerology in general, but numerology is linked in a way to these planets. Like let's say 5, for example, 5 is linked to Mercury, and that they've done this linking. Whoever did it in numerology did this linking based on seeing the chart. In the chart of a person born on 5th will have some or the other major influence of Mercury for sure. Like I've seen a person born on 5th who has Mercury as the Lagnadipati, or the Lord of Ascendant, and another person with Moon and Mercury. So where mind is being influenced by Mercury. So these are all major things, and if you go into KP, you will see in Cuspal Lord there will be a lot of Mercury's presence in certain houses. So numerology is a simple concept, and I personally don't feel it's reliable, but in a very basic sense, it can be linked to the influence of planets. So I've seen people who are born on 5th generally wanting attention, just like a child. It's like a child. It's not a bad thing, but it can become a bad thing. So yeah, if they get the decent amount of attention from their elders, generally they'll do very well. Especially in media, if they get proper or a decent level of attention, they'll try to work harder, and they'll try to gain more attention in general, just like a child. That is one thing we have to remember about Mercury influenced people. They will be like a child for sure, no matter how old they are. Like let's say they're 80 or they're 100, they will be like a child. That is just one thing they can't change, especially in the because they are born under Mercury, and in this entire life, it's going to be very difficult for them to change, and it's a good thing not to try to change and try to embrace the traits they have been born with. So yes, they can do very well in media, especially since they'll have a very youthful appearance in general, and it can be influenced by other planets, like let's say if Saturn or other planets like Mars is situated in the Lagna, then this is already being let's say cancelled in a way, because Saturn can give a person dark appearance, or can make a person's body very slim in general, slim and strong. But whereas Mars can make a person very huge, muscular, very strong, and very focused on strength and these things. If those planets are placed in Lagna and Mercury is the Chara Atmakaraka, forget about useful, because those planets are directly dictating or controlling the Lagna. So that's why I've stated many points. Out of these points, some will be applicable for sure, and they will generally have a deep interest in electronics or futuristic things that make people's lives convenient in general. And I've seen people very interested in let's say even the mechanical things, like futuristic things in general, because Mercury shows latest model or something new, because Mercury is a planet that is constantly seeking something new. Because just like a child can get bored with a particular toy very easily. The same way, Mercury influenced people can get bored with a particular model of phone or type of electronics very easily. So they can be very interested in new things, new models. Whether they can buy it or not is a completely different domain, but they will be interested in these things, like buying the new iPhone or something, or buying the latest GPU. It can be anything. They can also be interested in communication. Now, they will, whether they will be good communicators or not, will be influenced by other planets too. But they will generally be interested in communicating. They like to speak. Whether they're speaking something good or bad is dependent on other planets, but they will generally like to communicate a lot. They'll have a good friend circle, or at least would want a good friend circle, because Mercury also shows friends. So communication is one thing they have to learn in this lifetime, because whatever thing that is primarily controlled by this particular planet as Chara Atmakaraka is the thing they have to learn in this lifetime and use it properly. Now, let's say they can be born as intelligent people, but they may have to gain more intelligence through experience and use this intelligence or the type of thinking they have to do something good in general. And and through business they might have to help people, provide employment, anything, help in any way. In communication, they might have to communicate or spread the knowledge they have in general. It can be anything. So trying to use these particular things, like intelligence is one of the Karaka. All of these are going to be Karaka, but the main things that are being directly controlled by Mercury will be intelligence and communication. Those might be the lessons they have to learn in general. If they haven't attained this through, by birth, if they're not very intelligent, or if they're not good at communication from birth, then they might have to learn these things. That is what Chara Atmakaraka shows. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but yeah, what I'm trying to cover in these videos is just the type of character the person will have when it comes to Chara Atmakaraka, the negative characters they can have, and the solution for these character or these traits that are influenced by the planet on this particular person, on any particular person. Yeah, they can be very good at communication, and they might do well in communication related fields too. They can be seen as very carefree and adventurous people. They can enjoy outing in general. They can be the people who don't really care about these responsible things, or let's say getting married and these things, and but they can do these things because of society. and generally they wouldn't really care about things that normally people care about, like status and these things. And it can be one of the good traits, and it can also backfire because they can be too carefree and irresponsible at times. But generally, if this is the good level of amount of influence that the person is being influenced by the planet, then they can generally be seen as someone who isn't bound, who can fly, who's not tied up in general. They won't be stuck in one place. They'll be just moving around, enjoying things, enjoying everything the world has to give, the world can provide. They would be the people who would just enjoy many things, and they won't be tied up to particular things. Like, let's say, Saturn influenced person or Saturn Chara Atmakaraka person would be very disciplined and scheduled. So whenever you're scheduled or you have a routine, you are tied to that particular routine, whereas these people can be carefree and they can go with the flow in general. I've seen two people personally who have Mercury Chara Atmakaraka, and both were very carefree and very go with the flow type of people. Like, they'd just get up and do whatever they felt like doing instead of trying to follow routine. And at the end of the day, they would have done almost all the things that a person with a routine would have, but just the things would be sometimes, let's say, they get up and they work out on Monday, and Tuesday they get up and they study something, Wednesday they'd like to work. So the first thing they do and the last thing they do can vary a lot, and these things, just the order of doing these things can vary a lot, but they will go with the flow. So yeah, unlike Saturn influenced person, they will be very rigid and they would want to stick to the routine at any cost and get things done in time. So moving on to, where if Mercury is placed in a negative position, being the Charatmakaraka, then the person can be seen as very childish and very unreliable in general. Yeah, if Mercury is especially in a bad position, maybe debilitated, or there's also concept as tatastha, meaning Mercury won't be able to do anything. Like, if Mercury is in Cancer, it's naturally called tatastha, meaning Mercury is powerless there. No negative, no positive, very little influence. Even when Mercury's influence is very little, if it is Charatmakaraka, it can give all these negative traits. They can be very childish and irresponsible in general. You can't really expect responsibility from a child, but they will be the people who will marry quickly too. So let's say you see a 25-year-old, a 26-year-old guy with Mercury Charatmakaraka, he'll be married. Or he'll at least marry quickly. He'll have those things as priority, because these people care a lot about attention in general, and they would try to abide by the rules or the unwritten rules of society. So they'd be the people who would want to settle down quickly and be seen as very reliable or very responsible people, whereas they're the complete opposite of that. So they can be very irresponsible, at the same time pretend to be very responsible. Yeah, and they generally are unreliable because you can't really expect responsibility, or you can't rely on a child to do something that is done by an adult or a responsible person. So in general, they'll be very unreliable, as long as if there is another planet influencing this. Let's say if Mars or Saturn is influencing this person, then this will be completely different, because the person will naturally have the traits of Mars and Saturn. So in general, they can, if Mercury, let's say Mercury is debilitated and is seated alone, Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. I'll explain the debilitation exaltation later. It's just that Mercury will be very weak, and when Mercury is very weak and is alone, then the only influence of on Mercury will be the aspects and the lord of that particular Rashi, meaning Jupiter here. So this person can be very childish and unreliable in general. So trying to, it's always a good thing trying to avoid giving them very responsible roles in general. Instead, try to okay, that becomes solution. Try to give them small responsibilities. Teach them how to be responsible, and they will learn it. But the issue is they simply won't be born with it. Like a person who is influenced, has good influence, they naturally would be learning these things. But whereas these people will ignore these things but try to pretend and try to show that they're reliable or responsible, whereas they wouldn't be. So they can be very good in memory, and because of that they will rely a lot on memory instead of understanding things. Instead, I keep going to solutions. They will rely a lot on memory. I've seen this happen a lot. And if Mercury is placed negative and is the Chara Atmakaraka, and these people rely on memory, they generally have a short memory, or they have, their memory is not that good. At the same time, they're relying on memory almost all the time and not trying to understand things, whereas that is the thing they should be doing. When this is the case, they'll be seen as dumb people in general. And this can be very negative because they keep by hearting or mugging up these all these pages for an exam, for example, and they just try to go and dump it on the answer sheet. But whereas and that is what they would want to do, but they won't be able to do, and they keep trying to memorize things. That can be a very negative trait, and they can be very adventurous. They can try many different things. Let's say this person is a businessman, and he made a profit or he made some big amount. Now he tried to experiment with many different ventures. Like, let's say this person was running a hotel. Now this person would suddenly jump into shares or trading, and without a lot of knowledge they can directly invest a lot, and without learning the basics of trading or these things. First of all, it's gambling. No matter what people say, the only reason they're earning through shares is because of Mercury or Rahu, and they're just having a good time, that's all, or a good phase in general. These are not calculations. Shares or anything in general where you simply invest and rely on other things, like the company doing well or these things, that is completely luck based and it's gambling, and they would be very interested in these things, the Mercury Chara Atmakaraka people. So they can, even being a businessman, gamble a lot. I've seen a person who invested in many things, like wide variety of things. Like this person was good in communication industry, and this person invested in many different things, like let's say a dry cleaning factory or something, or maybe some other solution related company, like these 10-15 companies, and everything was lost for this person. And this can be one of the negative traits of Mercury being Chara Atmakaraka and being placed negatively. And they can be overactive, meaning they can, the type here is completely different from Mars. They would just seek new things, and because of seeking new things, they could become very irresponsible in general, because they're constantly investing in things or spending money, spending their time. They could waste a lot of money and time because of this one trait they have. And they in general can be very cunning and manipulative. This can also be because of Mercury's influence. And we as humans can rarely use these energies properly. The energies given or provided by the planets. So sometimes we can end up being very cunning or manipulative, especially if we have bad parenting. And I've seen this also being very common when it comes to negative Mercury. They can have bad parents too in general. If everyone or everyone in this world had good parents, there would be no bad person in this world. So you need bad people too to balance or tip the scales. So they would be the cunning type or the manipulative type of people. And this is because a child, you can see a child who speaks only the truth and is very honest in general about everything, even when they make mistakes. But you can see other children who simply blame on others, and even though they are the ones who commit things, who would naturally be very manipulative, even manipulating their parents. They're using their intelligence for wrong things. So these are the people who can be like that. If this is if you, let's say, you see this particular thing, like Mercury being placed negative and being the Chara Atmakaraka in a particular child's birth chart, then it's always a good thing to spend more time with this child. Try to make this child speak truth in general. Try to build an emotional bond with this child. Then they will not develop this particular negative trait. They can be very materialistic. They can be good in business. They can do well in these things like trading or any of these things, and it will all be because of materialistic desires. And eventually all the things they want to attain, will all be bound to materialistic things. They in general will be very materialistic, and they would want to attain a lot of they would want to fulfill a lot of material desires in general. It can be anything. Especially if they are influenced only by Mercury, then they will spend a lot on electronics, like buying the latest TV or buying the latest electronic vehicle or anything. Any of these things controlled by Mercury. Yeah, if it's if the influence is Mercury and Mars, then they can spend on electronic vehicle. Yeah, it can be. You just have to see the planets there. So in general, they will be very materialistic, and very rarely are they philosophical or spiritual. They're the complete opposite of Jupiter or Saturn. They're not good at making rules. They can be good at following rules if they have these influences, but if they have these influence, they are not very good at following these rules, and they'll try to look for loopholes, and they may even commit small crimes because of these rules. They would blame the rules, instead of trying to understand it. But they can be very materialistic. They can be very proud of the skills they have. They can want a lot of attention because of the skills they have. Whatever they have in general, they can be very proudful, or they can have a lot of pride in these things. So and they can be very attached to these things too, and they can seek a lot of attention. And this is one trait I've seen even in number 5 people. Every number 5 will have different chart and will have different influence of Mercury, but one thing very common in this is attention. They would want a lot of attention in general. Even the good placement, bad placement, it simply does not matter. But I've written in bad placement because it is one of the negative traits that Mercury naturally gives a person. Now, even if the planet is exalted, that is being in the most powerful position and is not influenced by other planets, this person will still have the interest in attention. Attention is one thing you simply can't take away, or is simply can't be avoided in this person's life. They would want attention, and if this person is paired up with the primary usage of Chara Atmakaraka or Atmakaraka is for marriage, or that is where we see most of this concept being used. If the Mercury person is getting married to Saturn person would really have a very difficult time with these people, because they're very attention seeking people, so they would suffer a lot. And Mercury people would also be suffering because Saturn simply does not know how to provide this particular attention. I'll go into all the matching later on. For that, we need to see Dara Karaka. They can be very attention seeking and they can be very calculative. Now, they can have the ability to calculate even when they're donating, and this is one of the negative things I've seen. And they can use their math skills, or they're generally decent at maths, and they can use this set of skills to calculate unnecessary things like thinking or involving money in family or relatives or friends. Generally, involving money in these relationships is a bad idea, and these people will have the tendency to involve money and be calculative. And let's say, for example, they lend some money to their mother or father, and they could be the people who would charge the interest when they get back the money. That is how practical and negative this influence can be, and they'd be calculative everywhere. This is one of the rare things, but that can be present in a Mercury influenced person. They can be seen as the person who is very calculative even about the food they eat and everything. They can use this calculative mentality in every domain, and it can be very annoying to the partner. Let's say if the partner is Venus influenced person, and if the partner is Saturn influenced person, this particular trait can be very annoying to them. And they can be very selfish and self-centered, self-serving, because their mind is like a child. So a child never or rarely thinks about others. A child can think about their parents, their grandparents, but rarely thinks about a neighbor, for example. So forget about consideration. If Mercury is placed negative and has a strong influence like Chara Atmakaraka, then forget about consideration. They have no clue about consideration. That is for sure. Because already they're born with an immature mind like a child, and if they have this particular trait like being selfish or self-centered and wanting attention, they all they do is care about themselves. Even they would have this particular if they have this particular trait, they wouldn't even care about their sibling or any close one, any closest friend too. The only thing they care about is themselves, and trying to fulfill their desires. That would be to get attention, all the positive reviews, constant compliments. Those would be the things they would run behind. They can be very obsessive about trying to attain things, and in general this is seen as a good trait, because that shows they have some decent amount of determination to achieve things. But the issue is they can be completely driven and they can completely dive into it, and because of that they can lose a lot of things because of this particular obsession. It's just like a child. The issue here is they're not mature in general, and they can keep doing or committing the same mistakes over and over again, trying to see if that will get better. And because of this particular obsession they can lose a lot of things, and generally they are very unwise. So trying to be obsessive about things can be very bad for these people. Instead, they could use this particular energy for different things like learning different hobbies or skills. Yeah, they can be very bad at these two particular things. That's why I've written them a bit bigger than the others. Decision and responsibility. They have a very difficult time deciding things, especially when it comes to responsible decisions. Like let's say a person is the man of the family or the provider of the family, and he has a very difficult time choosing whether to move to a different place or not. And if that decision is being made by this person, then they can really make the people go through a lot. So that is just an example. They can generally be very bad at decisions. They don't like to take decisions too, and if they do like to take decisions, then be careful about their decisions, because either it's going to be very calculative or it's going to be very immature in general. They lack consideration. A child lack consideration. Whether you're a mother or a father, I mean, whether you're a parent or a grandparent, you might have seen your grandchild or your child being very considerate about you in any given situation. But if they have this particular influence, and they're being considerate to close ones or close people, that doesn't mean they'll be considerate even to their child. If this person becomes a parent, they can be a horrible parent if they harbor any of these negative traits, because in general they can be very bad at making decisions and being considerate. Consideration is one thing they need to really work on in this life, and they can lack the responsibility of let's say being a parent or being a good authoritative person, and they would generally like authoritative things. A person who is bad at his job and still seeks a lot of authoritative position, this can be one of the combinations for that, because they simply like a lot of attention, and they like authority, they like everything good, but it's not, they don't think about whether they're particularly suited for this particular thing, or whether they can perform this particular thing. They like to be like the sun or the moon. They want to attain these responsible roles, but in general they lack the responsibility to perform these things. They in general can lack the responsibility, or they shouldn't really try to get into roles where mature people or the older people, like 60-70 year old people, are performing or filling these roles. Or at least if this person is being taught to be responsible from a young age, where good parents can teach these things, then it's a completely different thing. If a Mercury Chara Atmakaraka person has good parents, forget about negative positive positions, because that simply does not matter. Because a good parent will teach this person all the things to avoid and things to work on, like being good at decision making, and trying to understand how to take decisions, and trying to understand responsibility or the duties, just the duties this person has to perform in this life. Like, let's say if this person is entering into an authoritative position, or is leading a company, trying to teach them to be considerate about their employees, trying to give them bonuses at the right time, trying to think about the conveniences provided for the employees will be very good for this person. So yeah, in general, trying if this person has if Mercury Charatmakaraka person has a good parent, then these points simply does not matter. Just use the good point. Nowadays it's very hard to find a good parent, but yeah, this can be a very different case. Or if Saturn's influence is here, it can be a different case. So these things can be negated on many things in a particular chart, but there will be some influence for sure, because you simply can't remove the influence of a particular planet in a chart. There will be a lot of chemicals and the final product is what we are in general. Moving to solutions, they can work, or they can try to attain new skills. They can work on trying to spend time more on hobbies or playing games, because this will spend all the energy that is provided by Mercury. All the childish energy that is provided by Mercury will be gone here. Let's say even this person is like a 32-year-old person who's married and has a child. Playing games, it can be outdoor activity if Mars is influenced. If Rahu is influencing, it can be video games. And trying to attain new skills, like let's say Venus, if Venus is influencing this Mercury, then this person can try to learn dance, music, instruments, it can be anything, so, or any arts in general. Yeah, trying to learn these things will use up this Mercury's influence or the energy, and then you will be able to take proper decisions. Yeah, if you use Mercury's energy completely, then you will be able to make decisions properly, and the other planets' influences become a major thing. Then trying to observe and understand things. Just like a child has many good things, many bad things, traits. Now, if you try to see, just if you observe a child, some children are very good at observing and learning things. Just they learn just by seeing things, and it's not some; it's almost all the children are good at these things. And observing is one thing we humans always try to do, or perform things that are easier to us, or we just like the easy route in general. And observing people is one of the difficult things, and being patient and trying to understand what they're doing, and trying to spend time observing everything in general, the things around you. It can be an animal, the way they engage, the way people engage in their daily activities. If you observe these small subtle things, you will be able to understand how this world works and how you can excel in this world. Try to understand the concepts instead of trying to use your memory. If you have excellent memory, you can rely on it for math formulas or accounts, anything, but try to understand the concepts. If you understand the concepts and you have a good memory, you're already excellent. So try to understand things instead of memorizing, and instead of always being the speaker or the the speaker in general, try to be the listener and try to be the third person who sees things, and the person who learns by observing. Yeah, this can be good for you, and build emotional connections. Now, I've commonly seen that Mercury influenced people will have links, or will have a strong bond with their parents when their parents are constantly providing or giving them the materialistic things they like. For example, I've seen this one person where he would get high marks. Let's say out of 50 in a test, he'd get 45 or above 45 every single time. Now I asked this person why he was working this hard and getting these marks, and he was actually intelligent or just very good at studies. So when I did ask him, he mentioned his parent buying him whatever he wanted, and since it was like 6th or 7th grade person, then it was something very small, or something that they simply liked or desired. Then that is when I understood that they seeked rewards, and this is a trait of Mercury Chara Atmakaraka person, where they seek rewards, and because of that particular reward they got, let's say they got a toy bike or toy car or something when they were 6-year-old or 8-year-old, and they would bond with that person because they provided this materialistic thing, and not because of the emotion that this person or the parent or the elder wanted to provide, and try to care for this person. So instead of emotional, they are building their connections, or their relationships based on the materialistic things they get. This is one of the negative traits. And instead of focusing on materialistic things, no, it doesn't matter whether the person is whether your parent is buying you a Rolex watch or a simple Titan watch or something. It simply means that instead of seeing what they're buying, instead you could see the act that they just want to buy you something. Instead of seeing how much money they have or something, try to focus on the act or the emotion involved there. try to build a connection based on this particular emotion. That will be very good for you if you're Mercury Chara Atmakaraka person. And I'm not even going into negative or positive traits. Here it's universal for all the Mercury Chara Atmakaraka person, because these things can also generally get out of hand. Because I've seen a person who's influenced by Mercury and has like 25 mobile phones, and I have no clue why they would need 25. But yeah, all I'm trying to say is build emotional connections. Try to learn to be responsible. Responsibility is a thing that you can learn. You don't have to be born with it. So try to learn, try to fulfill small duties. Try to take up small responsible roles, like being a leader for a small project, or at least trying to perform your duties properly. Then you'll start to gain the trait of being responsible. So try to fulfill small roles, and eventually you'll get into the authoritative position, and you'll naturally be the authoritative person, or you will be in that authoritative role. Like a sun person will naturally be born as the authoritative or the leader, and you can attain or you can become the leader in this life, because you have all the skills necessary to learn a new thing. Yeah. So responsibility is something you can learn, and try to spend some effort, or try to work on your responsibility a bit. Yeah, by taking up small roles, it can really help in general. Do not repeat the things you've done. Like, let's say, as if I already gave an example, a person who was in let's say hotel sector got a lot of money, or who was in communication sector got a lot of money, and he tried investing in different fields again and again. Even after losing in one field, he thought, okay, this field is not working, let's try in this field. And he constantly invested in like 10-15 different businesses, and lost a lot of money. Majority of the money he gained in his lifetime, he lost it just by experimenting in different businesses. Instead, if just after the first investment, if he understood the thing he lacked there was experience. If this person is working in a hotel sector and has no prior knowledge or involvement in shares or stock market in general, just trying to gain the required knowledge and then trying to invest would be a wise thing. Instead of trying to constantly repeat, and let's say this time you invested in Tata, and Tata passed away or something, the leader passed away and the stocks goes down, and because of that you suffer. Next you invest into some other company, like let's say Birla or something, then something negative happens there and you lose because of that. Instead, try to understand these brands, try to understand the company, how they work, and try to study the market and invest based on that. Don't invest based on simply the name, or simply just going and throwing the money in general. So try not to repeat the mistakes, and try to learn from your mistakes. Yeah, that is the point there. Addictive substances should be avoided by person, especially Mercury Charatmakaraka person, because a child can easily get addicted to negative things. The same way, they can get addicted to negative, positive, both the things. Now they can be addicted to constantly gaining or getting compliments. That is also a negative addiction, and they can be addicted. They can get addicted to substances very easily, like weed or drinking, smoking, anything. They can easily get addicted to these things, because they in general give a person an escape from any of these duties, or anything in general. They might even see it as social status or something. Nowadays people are doing that. I have no clue why. But yeah, just try not to indulge, or try not to do anything that can end up as an addiction. Yeah, even video games, That is a major issue right now. Like people are spending 8-10 hours a day playing all night, and that is, let's say if this person, let's say you are a Mercury influenced person, you have Rahu's influence, Mercury Rahu, and you are playing video games. Let's say you are playing all night. I've seen this happen a lot now. It's happening every day. This person may be well off, they might have the wealth and everything set for life, but what they're doing is they're ruining their DNA. And I don't know if they have any clue about this. When you're staying up all night playing games, you're ruining your eyes, you're ruining your general circadian rhythm, you're in general ruining your health, and that can have a major impact on your child. And people are not thinking that far ahead. I mean, obviously it's because of Mercury and Rahu's influence, but yeah, try to avoid these things, any substance in general, like drinking, smoking, because it's going to be very difficult for you to get rid of these things. I've seen multiple people suffer because of this, and they had strong influences of Mercury or Rahu. But yeah, try to get out of trying to get out of these things will be very difficult for you, so try not to enter in the beginning itself. And try to speak the truth at all times. Stick to truth, because you may be good at communication, you may be good at manipulating and trying to get out of situations, or just lying in general, but instead try to be truthful. Try to use your intelligence for something good instead of trying to get your way and get whatever you want through lying and these shortcuts. Try to speak the truth, and that will actually benefit you in the future, because you don't have to rely on your memory to remember every single lie you've told. So speaking the truth will keep some space open in your memory card. Yeah, try to gain knowledge, because Mercury is a planet, this planet shows all about learning. So try to gain knowledge, use this trait to gain knowledge about new things. If you have Rahu's influence, gain knowledge through devices. If you have Jupiter's influence, read books. It can be anything. Try to gain as much knowledge as you can, because you have the particular things needed to gain this knowledge. So try not to be lazy, and try not to be proud of the knowledge you have. Instead, try to gain new things, new knowledge about new things in general. You can invest in these things after gaining the knowledge. Investing in shares is something you have to check multiple combinations for, but you, in general, try to become or gain knowledge about new thing, and then try to invest your money or time or effort in it, instead of just directly jumping into it. Yeah, instead of directly jumping into it, you can do that. Try to engage in puzzles or games like chess. Yeah, I've seen people do very well in chess, especially if they're simply born in 5th, they will have some influence of Mercury. So I've seen them generally do very well in chess. National players, international players, yeah. And you can engage or spend time with puzzle games. It can be right brain, left brain engaging activities. It can be any of these things. Just the memory related games too. We call it games, but these are actually tasks or exercises for our brain. Yeah, so you can try, even when it comes to video games or these things, you can try different puzzle games. It can be anything, it can be any genre you like. But yeah, puzzle, chess, and finally you can meditate or chant. Now, meditation is going to be slightly difficult for these people, because they have a very overactive brain, because Mercury makes the person very overactive in general, and they have a difficult time sitting in one place. So chanting would be a very good spiritual way. If you are a religious person, whatever religion may be, you may belong to any religion, they will have some or the other text, and just reading the text will be good for you, or just chanting. If you're a uh, Indian, you know all about, you would have heard about chanting. So, if you are a religious person, chanting would be very good for you. Anything, or just reading sutras, anything will be good for you, because meditation is one thing I feel this person will have a very difficult time in. Now, it depends on multiple things like what planet is situated in the 12th house, what is the 12th lord, where the 12th lord is situated. These things can vary a lot. But in general, without considering that 12th house has Ketu, or 12th house has some or the other planet like Jupiter, and Jupiter is exalted, I'm not considering any of these things. I'm trying to speak in general, and in general, they have a difficult time trying to meditate. So, trying to chant would be a very good solution for Mercury influenced person. And the deity linked with Mercury is Vishnu. So, trying to chant, meditate will be a very good solution, no matter what negative trait you have. Uh, Especially since Vishnu is directly linked to Mercury, and if you have a good Mercury and good traits, that will be enhanced if you pray to this particular deity. If you have negative, that will be gone. Either it will be snatched away from you, or you'll be forced to gain these good things, or it can be in any way, or it can be smooth too. And yeah, trying to chant will be a very good solution for you. Yeah, I think this covers Mercury as Chara Atmakaraka, and the type of character or traits this planet will influence on a person.